distraction for the masses. All roads and towns are messes as we depart with more yard
NASA.
The crew of the Artemis 2 has captured some incredible views of Earth.
They've used the very same clouds in both of these images. It's supposed to be Africa by day and night with exactly the same angle, so about 12 hours later, and the clouds haven't moved. Because these aren't photos, they are computer-generated images, just like all images of the globe. So either NBC made a mistake in choosing the graphic designer, or it's intentional to test us, as it's stated on this NASA reel. And why are they showing us Earth so slowly? Why not film everything? Think about it for a second. A skydiver comes back with hundreds of photos. GoPro on his helmet, a 360 camera in hand, 8K video at 120 frames per second. But when it comes to Artemis, we're back in the 70s with blurry, choppy images, 4 frames per second, as if NASA didn't have the budget for a $400 GoPro. They lost the technology and never found it again.
Problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore.
And when they go live, it's a fixed shot, no outside view. Once they think it's not rolling, you see them waiting for instructions from someone backstage. And yes, don't forget they're in a studio. To avoid showing you the view, they'll distract you by talking about problems of bullet.
I heard that there was a little bit of an issue with the toilet.
Or perhaps playing with their mascot, which they call ZGI. Perhaps that's a hint for CGI. So at this point, if you still believe in this whole spectacle, it's high time you started some serious deprogramming.
The latest fake space mission by NASA, Artemis 2, the so-called moon mission launch. Not an actual moon landing mission. Just basically a flyby. What a complete joke this is. And obviously you see the date here, April 1st. Of course, April Fool's Day. Fooling the public, what it comes down to. And always coded Artemis 2, as you see here, in numerology, is 33. And one thing I find interesting too, regarding this April Fool's Day so-called moon mission launch, the first time the Earth has ever been televised with this so-called picture from space was on April Fool's Day, April 1st, 1960. Again, they've been doing this forever, fooling the public, playing with the public like they're children, and always with the occultic side with Artemis itself. The name is based on the Greek goddess, as you see her, Artemis, and her association with the moon itself and her twin brother, as you see here, Apollo. And the obvious connection with the Apollo missions. These two were the offspring of Zeus and Leto. And of course, the duality aspect of the sun and the moon when it comes to these two individuals and these so-called space missions by NASA.
Okay, that's it's a little bit more. So we can see your hand now. See if we can see your thumb. Okay, well, that's a good scan of it. Yeah, you got the M cut.
We can see your hand now? We can see your thumb? Watch again at this pressurized glove as it bends just like a normal thumb would.
It's a little bit more. So we can see your hand now. See if we can see your thumb.
I mean, we shouldn't have to figure this out ourselves. I mean, the technology is there to literally have a lens, because it's on a spaceship, that could zoom all the way in back to Earth, okay? And why couldn't it be live streamed? Why is there not GoPros 360 around that bad boy? Why does the astronauts not have body cameras on them? Like, why is it not live streamed from beginning to end? Like, we have these capabilities. Heck, they could have even put ads on the live streams to help pay for the mission. Let me tell you, sponsorships on the side of that thing would have paid for the thing to go to the moon and back. I mean, I watched the CIA give a brief about how they were able to algorithmically track the heartbeat of the pilot on the ground to find his location. But you tell me we can't put one on that space shuttle to track it go across the, from here to the moon? Why can't we drop a rover on the moon like we can the Mars that looks back at the Earth? Live view while we're spinning around that bad boy. Or it's spinning around us. So many questions. I mean, we see footage like this of the moon. And I'm sitting here thinking, is this what we're really here for? Or is it for the ore that I can see blaring back at me from all these meteorites and asteroids that had hit this thing for 1 billion years that could change the metallic atmosphere? I mean, the riches of ore on that moon is insane, okay? And it's not for that. It's not to check on the Chinese that are on the other side of this bad boy that all of a sudden inserted themselves into the Iranian deal a couple nights ago, the same time that the shuttle was going on the dark side of the moon to interrupt whatever they got going on over there. Too many things align.
I definitely want to break down the occultic side. As you see here, Buzz Aldrin doing the all-seeing eye symbol, the 666 hand sign. Take a look here. Buzz Aldrin and with very famous 33rd degree Freemason, Luther Smith, a Grand Sovereign Commander, as I showed many times, as you see here in the dual 33s. And more of the same with these astronauts. Just take a listen here during this interview with Bart Sibrel with Astronauts Gone Wild. Very important to point out the number 33, as always. Take a listen to what is said here. When Bart Sibrel asked the question, what powered the lunar module?
What powered the air batteries? You had a number of big batteries in the lunar module. They powered pumps, they powered the air conditioning, they powered the communication system, and that's the reason we were only able to stay on the moon 33 hours.
So the number 33, people that deny the undeniable once again when it comes to number 33, and these occultists, as you see here from the Washington Post, talking about Shepard and Mr. Mitchell spending 33 hours on the moon, that record number supposedly that was spent on the moon during their so-called lunar missions, and also 9 hours on the outside of the lunar module. This is very relevant. The number 33, this is all regarding the 1/3 or 33% of the fallen angels, and the number 9. This is Satan's number mentioned by Anton LaVey in his writings, and of course, astronaut being 33 numerology, and astro, of course, meaning star, and this is Chaldean numerology, and obviously runway number 33 at the Kennedy Space Center, Kennedy being 33 numerology as well. And besides the obvious 33 painted on the runway, you see the three dashes for your 33, your dual 33 in plain sight. And also, this being the only runway at the Kennedy Space Center.
I don't need an interview with the crew telling me how they eat soup out of a pouch. Take the camera to the window and shut up and just let me see it. I don't know, why isn't there something mounted on the outside that just constantly gives me video of the Earth? Show me something with movement. Show me weather patterns moving on the Earth. Show me rotation of the Earth, zoomed out so you can see the entire sphere rotate. You really want to blow my mind? Show me some upside down flying planes. That's what Daddy wants to see. A skyline of a major city. Yes. Upside down with planes flying like that. That's all I want. And I'm getting none of that. And I suspect I will get none of that either. And we don't know what's real or what's fake. So I don't know why anyone's excited about anything they're seeing. This is so disappointing.
As you see here, NASA Artemis II Commander Reed Wiseman, like he's some smart guy, Wiseman, as they put this actor, never has been in space, just like none of the other previous so-called astronauts. They're just Freemasonic actors. That's all they are. And let's take a listen to this clip here. Very interesting for a so-called wise man. Take a listen to what he says here.
This is the first time we're going to send humans to the moon, and we're going to have humans in low Earth orbit. That is awesome.
He states this is the first time they're going to send humans to the moon and low Earth orbit. What is this ridiculousness, what he's speaking here? Throughout history, of course, back in 1969 to 72, they supposedly landed the moon. So he says the first time they're going to send humans to the moon And this is flat out mockery. They've done this before. It's not the first time.
And this is the Artemis 2 halfway to the moon. Yeah, propelling through the void of outer space, which is impossible. And they were halfway. Look at the size of the moon when you're on Earth. Like, just go outside and look right now. Do you see the size comparison? How are they halfway to the moon, but it's way, way, way smaller than it would be if you're on Earth, when you're further away from the moon when you're on Earth?
Take a listen to this individual here, working for NASA, and as always coded.
Coming up at T-minus 33 seconds.
Coming up at T-minus 33 seconds as they're counting down to the launch.
Control shifts from the ground launch sequencer to the rocket's onboard autonomous launch.
So, very important to point out here. What numbers do you see here? As I mentioned earlier, the number 9 and 33. Let's go back. This is not by chance or coincidence. They're putting the 9 and the 33 as we see here. And that gets back, as I shown in this article. Once again, the number 9 is mentioned as far as hours outside the lunar module and 33 hours in the moon. So again, people have to really pay attention. The sign symbols, dates, numbers, and colors. This is what they're all about. Here's the so-called rocket launch, and it's going to go black. It's going to go dark. And there you go. Black screen. Why is that? Just like SpaceX, the same thing. And why don't we ever see the so-called astronauts inside the Artemis capsule? And they always like to do these cuts. There's never continuous footage. No one has ever seen a so-called space vehicle go into space and never so-called return from space.
If we can take a picture through the Hubble telescope of something in a galaxy far, far away, we can see the moon. And why can't we see the moon better? So many questions. If this is the bottom of this rabbit hole, and they have spent this much money on this, everybody at NASA should be fired. Everybody at the White House involved in this should be fired, and every DOD dude that's involved in this should be fired if this is all we got for our money. I'm just saying that there's no excuse why we can't land on that bad boy, set up a doggone eyeball staring back at us that can see a dude in Siberia from the moon, okay? Like, why can't we see planes going across the globe? Why aren't they zooming in with a humongous telescope all the way to see a dude standing on a mountain somewhere? We can do that from our satellites right here. I mean, we can see a doggone license plate from outer space on the Earth. But we can't do that to the moon where there's not even atmosphere involved? Come on, man.
From this clip with Conan O'Brien with Buzz Aldrin from the year 2000. And this is the concept of duality that you're going to see taking place. Hot and cold, black and white, truth and lies. They must give the truth with all the lies. If not, they're not working off the foundation of Freemasonry. Let's get right to it with this interview once again with Buzz Aldrin. And he gives the truth with all the lies that are spoken about the moon landing so-called being real from 1969. Let's get to it.
I remember my parents waking me up and we went down and we watched you guys land on the moon.
No,
which
you didn't.
was
No, you didn't.
What?
Because there wasn't any television. There wasn't anybody taking a picture. You watched animation.
You watched animation. That sounds familiar, just like we saw here, just from a couple days ago. Nothing but animation. But again, this is all you need to show the general public to fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. Now let's get to this clip from a few years ago with Buzz Aldrin being interviewed by this 8-year-old girl and the truth being revealed. Of course, you see the orange book for 33. Let's take a listen to what is said here for those that have not seen this clip.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and And that's the way it happened.
We didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And before saying those words, Buzz Aldrin puts his hand on his chest as it pains him to speak the truth, to tell the truth. He couldn't lie to this young girl to her face. It's easy to lie to a camera, but the truth is always revealed in the end.
This is the first time we're going to send humans to the moon, and we're going to have humans in low Earth orbit. That is awesome.
Now let's play this clip by fellow astronaut Don Pettit, who I call the head of mockery with NASA, and what he says regarding going back to the moon. Take a listen.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
In no time in human history does technology work backwards. This is absolutely ridiculous how Don Pettit claims they destroyed the technology to go to the moon, and it's so-called a painful process to build it back again. This is absolutely ridiculous, and I feel sorry for the grown adults that are nothing more than merely children that believe whatever they're told by the mainstream media, so-called mainstream science. They don't have a mind of their own, completely indoctrinated in this lie system.
Yeah, because the air proves that you're in space.
I don't know, we're going to have to
check
do
this.
something for
Check
you.
the man with a stripy top. Look, he grabs the wire above him. Now check the man on the right. With his right arm, he grabs the wire. Did you see it? Now check in slow motion. The man on the right, look at his right arm. He's grabbing him to stabilise him. Then look at the man behind him with the stripy top on. Now he's looking up and he's grabbing the wire. Look, he's looking for the wire to grab it. Yeah. Check that out. He's grabbing the wire there. Look, he's looking up because he sees the wire moving about, and he's grabbing it to stabilise it. Look. Now check the man on the right with the USMC t-shirt. Check his arm. Watch this. Check his arm. Look, his arm goes to grab him. Look. But he doesn't grab him, he grabs the wire. Look, there's nothing there, but he's grabbing something, and it's tugging his trousers up. And then check him on the left. He looks down to see. Look, he's checking it out himself. Yeah? You wanted proof? You've just got proof there. If you don't accept this, then you are just absolutely brainwashed. This is absolute proof that they are using wires on the space station, or the fake space station.
Yeah.